My journey with Kendall and Lacey began back in 2012 when they moved to Raleigh from Michigan so that Kendall could join the police academy. We were in the middle of the recession at the time, and that's when Kendall shared with me that they still had a house in Michigan.
Keep in mind, we bought it for $130,000, put all the money into it, and then it appraised for about $89,000.
We made several attempts to sell the house and it just didn't work out. And so we finally had to let our house go, which was a very difficult decision.
And the house in Michigan ultimately was foreclosed on. I could tell that the experience in Michigan stung, and it stuck with them.
It felt like we were walking away, and that was hard for us because that's not who we are. So we moved to North Carolina expecting that probably we'll have to rent for a few years, and that's where we met Colin. He was our neighbor across the cul-de-sac.
It came up that Colin was in financing and doing mortgages, and so we had a lot of questions since we went through what we went through in Michigan.
So a foreclosure with conventional financing, there has to be 7 years between the date of the transfers of the deeds until you're eligible to buy a new house. With FHA, it's only 3 years. His response to me was, hey, am I gonna have to wait 10 years before I buy a new house? And I let him know that no, that wasn't the case.
He's like, just keep it in the back of your mind. We're gonna work through this. I'll help you out.
So from the beginning, we had a long-term strategy. Our initial plan was to wait long enough for them to be eligible for FHA financing. FHA financing allows for some bumps and bruises. It's a little bit more forgiving, and the waiting period since a foreclosure is less than half the time it is for a conventional loan.
So we kept in contact with Colin, and I started having meetings with Colin again in his office and talking about what we could do to get on that home ownership boat again.
He was always a couple steps ahead of us. We would get an email from him saying, hey, I found this out. Now would be a good time to do this. And we hadn't even been thinking about it.
He called me one day and asked me, he said, hey, are we good to go? I said, we are. He said, great, because I found a house.
So when we walked in, we're like, oh, this could be this, and this area could be this. We have enough bedrooms for another kid, because at the time we only had one.
We would just call him and say, okay, we just put the offer in. He'd have everything taken care of.
At closing, it was just so upbeat, and Colin was there.
When we purchased our first house in Michigan, our mortgage company wasn't there. They don't care. Colin showed up and was there, and he was excited for us, cheered us on. I never dreamed that I would have a home like this. I always wished, but I didn't think this would be a reality for us again.
And I remember looking at him and saying, we're not going to stop there, because we're going to circle back and we're going to further improve those financing terms to make it a better situation for you long term. There were about 2 more years that they needed to wait before they were eligible for conventional financing.
He stuck with it the whole time, and I think he had it to the month. He's like, all right, June, you're coming to talk to me in June.
And we got the wheels in motion and refinanced them out of the FHA financing that we initially did just so they could get in the house to begin with, and replaced it with conventional financing, and it saved them over $500 a month.
And I almost cried. And as I'm signing the papers, I'm asking, are you sure? Are you sure these numbers are right?
Our experience with Fairway has been amazing. With Colin, you feel that he is always looking for your best interest. He's a wealth of knowledge.
So at Fairway, we pride ourselves in being more than just app takers. We're advisors. And with Kendall and Lacey's foreclosure, it's a perfect example of identifying a long-term goal and then putting stepping stones in place that we could hit along the way, which is what we did. We have a mantra at Fairway: loans are what we do, not who we are. And I feel that at my core, because my purpose is to help people find happiness through homeownership. The numbers are the easy part. What matters is how you make people feel.
I can't find the surface to everything you wanted.